I've learned from Harold and from Clyde that things like SAG-AFTRA, talent comp, very basic things that we think about and take for granted, Ad ID and the tracking systems that it provides help with that. And so we're thinking about ways we can expand that, comp salespeople, help the ad ops teams track assets. So more to come on that. And so as part of this conversation, both Kelly and Clyde and other folks in this room, we've talked about and we have announced creating a TV convergence group. And basically what that is a group of folks from the broadcast, cable, and digital side to sit in a room and talk about all of our issues. It's kind of like therapy, and build standards on the file format side, on the metadata side, and also on the audio side. So can you talk about file formats for a second? Why is it so critical? How does it evolve from point A to point B?
It was interesting in the very beginning of file-based workflows. Every manufacturer produced their own server and all the file formats were incompatible. And then we went from that to a fewer, more compatible, interoperable. But then what happens is, I refer to this as the bow tie problem. Think of us processing stuff and trying to deliver it as the center of the bow. And then this side of the bow is everything you can possibly think of delivering to every screen that's out there of every type. And there's quite a divergence there. And then on the production side, think about that. All of the cameras and file formats, and every manufacturer wants to create their own. So you've got this huge bow tie, and we're the knot in the middle that's trying to pull it all together and serve all of that with some sense of quality. And every codec doesn't go to every other codec and preserve quality, or preserve metadata, or preserve identity. And identity, Harold and I have talked about for years. If you can't measure it, you can't monetize it. It's that simple. And it's very hard to manage it if you can't measure it. So it's a real challenge.
On the actual technical side, the assets you're getting, what are the issues that you're seeing across the board, be it audio, be it file size, be it metadata that it's attached to the file? What do you think about that?
Most of the creative that we're working with is coming from third-party ad servers. So we're predominantly operating in a vPaid environment. The partners are increasingly providing multiple file types, so that we can work seamlessly across all screens. The file size, I think people are doing as good a job as they can to keep file size small, so that responsiveness is still high in the publisher environment. But I still think there's a way to go, because when it comes to measurement and understanding where that creative ran, if you're a buyer in the room and there are partners like Hulu on your plan, that vPaid element isn't going to work. If partners like Facebook for video, huge explosion there. It's not being measured in the same way. So when you need to tie back to unified reporting at a creative level, that's where some of these new standards around a universal ID make a difference. And Ad ID's been around a long time. We're still not seeing that be passed through a preponderance of the campaigns.
Hi, Harold Geller with Ad ID. So we've heard a lot about VAST and how VAST is important, and I talk to people all the time who say that VAST is not just the ad serving template for online, it is becoming the ad serving template for mobile, for cable video on demand. What's it going to take to get universal adoption of VAST 4.0?
Great question. Honestly, as I've looked at the way in which the industry has up-leveled each of the versions that have become available, it's really got to come from a few key buyers and a few key publishers that have large footprint mandating that people get on board and use that standard. And then all of the systems and the players that want those dollars or want those eyeballs will up-level. This is not a grassroots organization kind of, get out the upgrade process. This is needs to be a mandate, and I think that will come. It's not necessarily easy or cheap for providers to upgrade to the latest version of VAST 4.0, but I do think that it's something that the industry needs to take seriously.
And then from our perspective, since we're stewarding VAST 4, I will say that there are large players that are currently working on
Working
the
on it.
upgrade. It's just a long process. As you guys, you're all tech people in the room, which is great. You know how long an upgrade takes. So I think we'll have our first person done hopefully by the end of the year, beginning of next year, and that will drive a lot of the industry.